Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to a very interesting episode that we're doing. It's a special episode as well because we normally don't do a lot, but it's a special episode. We're talking about what's happening right now with Chelsea and how it fits in with the wider geopolitics. We won't get into geopolitics, I think, but we'll definitely talk about what's going to happen. What happened? What's happened with Chelsea and what's going to happen. And joining me today, we've got again Knayha is back on the show. Knayha, welcome.
Thanks
So
for
you actually
having me.
decided to and yesterday you were looking like the professor look. Today you kind of like gone back the man bun looks. It's great to have you. And we've also got Siddhant on the show. Siddhant, welcome. Is this your first time this year? I think this is your first time this year, isn't it?
Yeah, this year, yeah, it's the
Yeah,
first time.
it's always great to have you. I hope you're doing well. We're also going to have Adarsh joining us in a bit. We hope he's going to join us in a bit, so he'll be here as well to talk about it. But that's great. It's good to have all of you guys. Let's start off with you, Siddhant. How are you feeling? How are you feeling with the news about Roman Abramovich? How do you feel as a Chelsea fan?
Yeah, it's like the end of an era, right?
Mhm.
And basically, I think the feeling between all Chelsea fans must be mutual that we are not going to get another owner like him. You know, we will probably get good set of owners, but the ruthlessness which he had, but still the love for the game and love for the club which he had. So I don't think we will get that again.
For sure.
Yeah.
Will managers now have longer tenures at Chelsea? Who knows? Well, that's a question, I guess, for the future. Let's dive into this a little bit more. I mean, do you think Roman could have stayed longer? Do you think he should have tried to stay longer? I mean, maybe trying to distance himself from everything, but maybe keeping a low profile. I know it's hard, but could he have tried to maybe hang on a little bit longer, seeing how this whole thing plays out? Or do you think it's the right move to now go, well, I need to get out of here because I'm going to be in trouble?
I think it's more like how the reason kind of he wanted he like why was he the owner, like how he wanted to kind of the image that he had and obviously Chelsea Football Club, it's a big club. He's had a legacy, and Siddhant here is right to point that out, and he's been incredible. 19 years of ownership. I think this has been their golden period. But then
Hello.
It lost its purpose. Then I would say, in a way.
Yeah, well, we've got Adarsh as well on the show. So Adarsh, welcome. Yeah, we're kind of recording. We got started, but yes, it's great to have you on the show as well. It's been a while since we had you as well, so it's always nice. Yeah, just sorry to interrupt you, Knayha, but you can finish.
No worries.
Welcome to Adarsh.
So that's as Siddhant was saying that it's been the best period for Chelsea Football Club. But then Roman Abramovich knows the reason why he got the club in the first place. He loves the game. He wants, obviously there's a lot of talk about like the sports washing of the ill-gotten wealth and stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but then I think that had a purpose. That was and then now it's coming back to haunt him in a way, and then it just suddenly feels like, okay, this can go ugly very soon, and I think it's time to cash out. And yeah, before sanctions can kind of get further deeper. And it's also the image, the family. Nobody hates him, like nobody hates Roman Abramovich, but then it's just this association with the Russian Federation, and how the wealth and money and stuff, and that kind of is, and it's good that he owns this, because he understands this is a problem, this is a conflict. This is not something which with the sanctions coming in Britain as well and the UK, and they're going deeper. And yeah, it's before he can't sell it, before it's like lost forever, and he needs to cash out. I think so. That's he can't hold on. I'm very sure he would have, like, this is the hardest decision he would have made, because this has been in talk. Like, it's not like Roman Abramovich has never been in talks or spoken about in these terms, or kind of said that the rich oligarchs of the Russian oligarchs and stuff, and the money that they've gotten, why are they there, and so on. But I think it's time to kind of just move out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the question now this was about whether he could have stayed, whether Roman could have tried to stay a bit longer to see this whole thing out. I'm just asking Adarsh to put something Adarsh know as well. We were talking about, since Adarsh ran a bit late. So we're talking about whether he could have stayed on longer, whether he could have tried to hold on to power. I think Knayha thinks no. Do you agree? Do you agree with that? Do you think the time is right to cash out? I mean, I guess the question is, does he want? I mean, I guess the first part is, does he want to do it now? And I think the answer to that probably is no. I don't think he wanted to do it. But is that the right decision for him? Is that the right decision for Chelsea Football Club at this point? Do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, thank you for having me, Rohit, after a very long time I'm here at the show.
Yeah. Of course, yes,
And coming to your question, I don't think Roman had that urge or any kind of urge of selling the club at first place, because he was enjoying being the owner of such a beautiful club. He was winning each and everything under his belt as an owner, Champions League, Club World Cup, you name it. They've got everything since his regime. And coming to the situation, what we are facing as a world situation, it has to be because of the sanctions. It has to be, the sanctions are all over Europe, all over US, everywhere in the West, in the middle, it's everywhere. So it is a very wise decision, I would say, of Roman selling the club at this point. As Knayha said, that after a while, if he tries to sell the club, it won't be that big of a profit, or eventually it could have been a loss as well altogether. So if he would have waited a little longer, the story would have been very different to what it is right now. He is very praised by not only Chelsea fans, but neutral fans as well, about how well he has been managing the club. Even after the transfer ban, he was given the open book to check, to sign the likes of Havertz, Lukaku, Werner. Everything was open to it for heavy signings as well. That was never the issue for Chelsea, the signing part, the expensive signing. But being there with the board, having a good connection with the board, like getting the players with the board, is something which is really appreciated in Roman. Something which United fans usually dig out for their owners, of course.
I'm just no, please go.
It's a very wise decision to sell the club as of now, because he's seen the bullet coming through his way. It's better to dodge the bullet and work on the PR thing altogether to rebuild the whole image, if not correct the image. But yeah, it's a very wise decision in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of subplots there that I think we may not be able to get into today, but we'll keep an eye on and see how those develop. Siddhant, obviously the question in everybody's mind: can Chelsea still be a force to be reckoned with? I mean, going forward, once Roman leaves, do you think there'll still be, I mean, right now they're probably I would say they're like well, I mean, if you watch WWE during the late 90s, they're not Rock or Austin right now. They're probably Triple H. They're like number 3. They're like Triple H right now. Do you think they'll keep that? I mean, do you think that's where they will be? Do you think they can still be that?
With respect to short term, I don't think there will be like a catastrophe or something. I think it's going to be fine. The first reason for that is that the current bunch of players are still like a young bunch of players. So, they are going to improve from here. And Roman has made it clear that he's not going to sell it in a panic. He has clarified in that statement that, he's going to follow the due process, and
due process can always be expedited, though, Siddhant. It's not that due process can always be expedited.
I mean to say that he will try to give to the best owner possible, who can take the club forward. And the second point is that the club is full of players which have winning mentality right now. So as of now, in the short term, I don't know. I don't think there would be a catastrophe. But if the board gets superseded by owners who just want to draw out cash from the club, like like some American owners and things like that, so long term it might be possible that again there could be like a transition period, or like all clubs have gone through, right? I mean, like even like Liverpool have gone through, like United might be going through right now. So
no, United are not going through owner transition. They're going to a different that owner transition is not actually. There's an interesting point that I want to make about that, but I'll come back to that later. Siddhant, I'll let you finish because we want to get on this discussion.
So currently I don't think there would be, I mean, the level is not going to reduce, but the big question is whether the level is going to increase. I mean, that's what the board and Roman were trying to do. It's like right now the club is such that it can finish third. This summer was going to be like a major summer where we would have gotten the signings which could have help the club, top for those fight for those top 2 spots. And
were you finally going to be
whether
able
that is going to happen.
were you finally going to be able to sign a striker who can actually score goals for Chelsea? I'm just kidding.
Or we
No,
could just sell our strikers.
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, I know. But I mean, that's a good point that you made, Siddhant. But what I was also thinking is that at the moment Chelsea are probably undisputed number 3. I don't think they're in the top 3. They're undisputed number 3 at the moment. There's nobody challenging them. The good thing for them is that the ones that are fighting for 4th, which is Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham, Wolves, they don't look like they're going to come into the top.
How smart of him to pitch out United from it, man.
Because I don't
How
know.
smart of him.
Others, if you watch the show over the last 2 months, you'll know I don't consider them a top 4 contender anymore. Like I just, but anyway, that's just me. But those 4, but the point is, I don't think those 4 are going to get anywhere near Chelsea. The real threat in the medium term will come from Newcastle United. I think that's the one that will come in, and I'm sure they will come in at some point. So short term, I think they'll be okay for 3rd and 4th. I think medium term, we'll have to see when Newcastle comes in. But even then, they'll still have the 4th spot to fight for. So, they're still there. But I'll come back to one other point that I do want to make. But before that, I'll go to I gotta go to others. And other teams have a lot of opinions about this thing. Do you think Chelsea will still be forced to be reckoned with in the short term, medium term? Let's leave the long term aside. Maybe short and medium term. Do you see that they'll still be forced?
Like for me, I think they might go on a different path. As of now, the path might go a little patchy and rough for them, because you see, when you look at the defender side, okay, for Chelsea, Rudiger is having rumors of leaving. He might. Christensen is about to leave. Azpilicueta is about to leave. Thiago Silva is 37. By next year, if they're going to still hang on to him as a first centre back, he'll be 38. I don't think he is going to cope up that well when he'll be 38. First season, okay, great. He's done excellent. But I still feel that he might go on the bench for the next season. So they got to sign players. It's this time where Chelsea has to sign players, and it's this time where they are facing a change in the top bench, the owner. So I guess there would be many changes, and the thing for now, Chelsea under Tuchel has been a very defensive side. Okay, let's be honest about it. They are very good defensively, and if things are going to change defensively, it's going to affect Tuchel. It's going to affect the board. It's going to affect the results. So directly and indirectly, both the things are related to it. And I think they might go to a rough patch if they don't sign proper signings. And that is a bigger question. Will they get proper signings? Because for now, it has been with Czech and somebody else, if I'm not wrong. The trustees.
Marina. And
Marina,
just to interrupt here, Marina has declared on LinkedIn that even she's leaving.
Oh no! See, that's
okay.
That is actually my point, because you know what? As long as the structures are in place, I thought Chelsea will be fine. Because leaders, owners come and go, but if you keep that structure below them,
yeah. So Marina is leaving, and even Bruce Buck, who has been the chairman of the chairman of the charitable foundation.
Yeah, okay, so that will be a problem. So that I think I'll change my opinion now. I think the short term will be tough for Chelsea, because if they don't get not because of anything else, there's nothing against Chelsea, but if you don't get the right people in, if you go from David Gill to Ed Woodward, there is a big problem. So hopefully they don't do the same. I can imagine that. But if they get the right people, I think Chelsea will be fine. But I think they will have I think next season will be tough for Chelsea.
Yeah.
For the reasons that Adarsh outlined as well, that there is an aging squad and it needs some refreshments. And obviously, you want the right people in to make sure that they get the right people, the right sort of players in. So, you know what? It's one to keep an eye on, I guess, and we'll see how the summer goes. I think the summer will be very important for Chelsea,
very crucial
in terms of incomings, but also outgoings, like who leaves, who stays, all of that.
But I think but I think that on the structure side of, I think what Tuchel is doing is kind of distancing the footballing side of it right now. I think if I just look at the press conference, he's putting an effort just to kind of, what do you want from me? Like, in a way, I think that's pretty smart as well. On his side, like, to kind of just saying that don't involve the players. This is happening way above this. So let's keep it. I think that is a very smart move. And
but that above thing is the one that's going to control the playing side at the end of the day.
But then at least for now, he's not making them kind of like anxious. Like that's like like for this season, because of course he's also thinking about this season. And this is really big news that that the ownership is changing. It's not something small. It's like the whole,
It's not the
the whole
manager
dynamics.
this time.
Yeah,
It's not,
exactly.
but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what happens with the playing side will depend on what happens with the structural side. The structural side has to be good.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Basically, the
there's
change never
change,
stops
and
with
they need
Chelsea.
to, and we don't know who's even going to manage that change. Who's going to hire the new board? Like, who's going to hire the new Marina or the new Bruce Buck? Who's going to hire them? I say new because I don't know exactly the roles. I guess there's directors, director of football, or whatever.
No,
Technical
there is no director of football, but basically Marina is the one who's the negotiator, who's the chief negotiator.
And Peter Cech is the director of no, Peter Cech is
Better check is
He's
technical
not director
director.
of football.
I think he's a
Yeah,
technical director.
Yeah, technical director.
Yeah, that's like
Okay.
what Diane Fletcher does. Yeah, which we don't know what that means. But anyway, yeah, just keep going back to United. But anyway, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's get a bit nostalgic here. Knayha, how do you think Chelsea fans will remember Roman Abramovich? How do you think he will be remembered?
I think he's glorified. There is no doubt in that. I think he's won everything, as what Adarsh and Siddhant have been saying, that he's won everything that there is to offer. He's made like the players, the icons that there are in Chelsea Football Club, like from Didier Drogba and everything, and then to Champions League wins and stuff. He has been quiet about it. I think that's the best thing. He's worked silently. He's put people in the right place. He's got the right people at the right time. The player signings, maybe it's also the negotiation, the way they've got players as well. I think that's kind of that's an art of its own, maybe a case study in Harvard Business School or something, of getting players like out of nowhere, and you're like getting them for the money that they get them from, so there is no doubt in that. He's definitely going to be remembered as a people are going to be envious about him, or people have been envious about Chelsea Football Club because of having such a great owner, like who's aggressive, who basically is like, okay, I want to win. I'm not in this just like selling tickets or getting ads or putting big billboards or stuff, or making. He's been there to just kind of win stuff, and putting down, and Chelsea Football Club being remembered. So I think that's the legacy. Chelsea Football Club right now is the force to reckon with because of Roman Abramovich. And I don't think any Chelsea fan, and also the neutrals or fans across, would kind of deny that. Like he has been the force that has allowed them to be such aggressive and winning so many trophies.
Yeah. Siddhant, agree with that?
Sorry?
Do you agree with that? Do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. In fact, Chelsea fans have been asking to, name a stand after him, make a statue for him. I mean,
Probably not now. Probably not right now. Maybe.
Yeah, not right. I know, not right now. But
that would be epic for
that's the kind of aura he had at the club, and he is definitely, he will be glorified and he will be remembered for years to come. That's the important part, because he has taken the club a lot ahead, and it's difficult for any new owner to do much more than what he has done. As in, he has invested without expecting like great returns or something like that, and I don't think any new owner is going to be like that.
Yeah, well, that would be an interesting point to see what the next owner's ambitions are with regards to Chelsea. Will they be businessmen? Will they be, as Abramovich called them, custodians? We'll have to see what that works like. And yeah, I think Roman actually changed the Premier League in a way, because before him, the kind of owners that United, that not United, but just the Premier League clubs in general that they had. I said United, I don't know why I said United. No. But the Premier League, the kind of owners that the Premier League had was so different from when Roman came in. Like a guy who didn't mind spending a lot of money, didn't worry about, had a lot of money to spend, didn't mind spending it. Do you think he positively impacted the Premier League in a way?
Of course, he's positively impacted. He's greatly impacted as well. Because, earlier there was signing. Players were signed by every club. But were that players the perfect signing these clubs were requiring? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But after Roman, clubs like Manchester City, like the owners of Manchester City, for example, they realized they gotta be focused on winning things, not just planting money and just waiting for the outcome of it. But they are winning stuff. For example, now, if you see Leicester owners, they have impacted Leicester owners as well. Like when you spend money in the club, they want a return as well, and not just the money. It's the glory, it's the trophies, it's the fans are pleasing, which they want. And Roman, in his tenure, has made sure to not just win trophies, but to leave legends under the name of Chelsea, to make legends under his name. Drogba, Lampard, many more, Terry. So he's not just won trophies with these okay, with these names, but leaving a legacy behind him, a bunch of players who would die for the club, who would do anything for those 90 minutes. That is what something which he has left, and that is what is inspiring for other clubs as well as the owners, just to aim for what he has done to this Premier League, to this whole world of football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think well, I mean, the City owners obviously came after Roman, but I'm sure they were influenced by what Roman did. We wanted to use that. And I guess the same could be said for the Saudi Arabia owners now that have come in as well. We'll look at that blueprint as well to try to find success. So Knayha, overall?
Like instantly, the Saudi Arabian owners are instantly focusing on winning. Forget about the return. Like for the next season, they're not waiting for next season. They spent like 94 million in this January transfer window. Got multiple players just to stay in the Premier League and fight for something else this time. So the aim is quite clear now.
Yeah, and he single-handedly brought in FFP, which of course became a whole thing about that didn't work. But anyway, Knayha, so do you think overall the sports washing exercise was a success for Roman? No, I'm kidding, but no, I mean, let's be honest. It was an image-enhancing decision by Chelsea. It wasn't, we can't get away from that fact. I mean, he did a lot for Chelsea. I don't think this is, but there was also an element for him to enhance his own image in the UK media. And I mean, cynically I asked this question, but perhaps it was.
But that's the true, like the whole purpose. Like, that's the thing. We're talking about a legacy. We're not talking about the first day he came in, why he came in. So we're not talking 19 years before Roman Abramovich kind of getting all that money from Russia and then kind of putting it in like in Chelsea Football Club. But that's so it's also not the fact that he escaped it. Like that's the beauty of it, I would say. Like he could not it still caught up with him eventually, and that's kind of like it just came full circle. But it's okay. It's a net positive. Like he left a legacy. He has left a legacy with Chelsea Football Club, but he is forced to leave it as well because
as the movies they say, my past has caught up with me.
Exactly.
I know what happened, but I mean, it does bring up a point to consider as well here, because when you think about it, would Chelsea? I mean, it's a morality question at the end of the day, and every fan has to reconcile that with themselves, whether they. What is right, what is wrong. We're not here to judge that. I think we can judge it for ourselves, and we're not going to judge it for other people. The question is, would Chelsea fans want the 19 years of success that they've had, knowing that it was maybe maybe it didn't come the right way, whatever the right way is, and I put that in quotes, but whatever, that maybe it came, maybe it came at a cost, maybe it came at a caveat, but would they want those 19 years? Probably they would. Probably they wouldn't. That depends on everybody's decision, right? I mean, some would, some wouldn't, right? At the end of the day, that's for people to decide for themselves. I mean, would United fans, for example, sacrifice? Would these United fans be okay with having 9 years of a tyrannical dictator running them, and having that winning those games or winning trophies? Maybe not, right? I mean, it's ultimately that. But I think the wider question, Siddhant, and I'll start off with you on this one, does there need to be need to change up of the ownership models? And I'm not just talking about Chelsea. I'm talking football in general, and I'm not again referring to certain. Rulers of states or people that have ties to rulers of states. I think it goes down to even businessmen who done it and I will say this as well. I don't think United's owners should be any.
I got it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I understood your question.
Yeah. No, I'm just giving the context for the listeners as well. It's not just you.
No, absolutely. So I believe that after seeing these recent events, obviously, I think especially for stability of the club itself, there should be a regulatory process here. Because there is no shock, there should not be any shock later on for either the owner or the club or the fans or for the UK or for England as a country for that matter. So if there was such a thing, then it would be good, because later on, after 19 years, even the owner could question that, I've followed your due process, then how are you asking me to, how are you trying to sanction? So that would be like a layer of protection for everyone if that was the case, and that would get more consistency in the system, I guess. So yeah, that would be a positive thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would say United should not be anywhere near a football club. That's what I feel. And even though they've not done nothing, that's just, because I don't think that they have owned the club for the right reasons. But anyway, that's my opinion. I know people will disagree with me on that. Adarsh, do you think there is an element do you think that fan ownership is something that should be considered? I mean, in the Premier League, that is involved in the Bundesliga, but do you think it needs to be now implemented in some way in the Premier League as well, to have at least an element of fan ownership to maybe protect a club? Even when such things happen, because it's happened to Chelsea today. Who knows, 10, 15 years down the line, it might happen to Manchester City or Newcastle. And again, we come to that whole cycle.
It totally depends on the club's policy. If you ask my opinion, I would say yes, because owners come and go, okay? I'm not saying Roman was here for like 50 years, 60 years, leave his legacy to his son or maybe some other person. No, that's not how things work sometimes. But the fans, they stay. The legacy stays. The fans, the person might change, but the ideology remains the same. They want to win. They want to keep the best board. They want to keep the best players, respect players, get hold of him. So that is what the ideology is when it comes to having fans in that position. And it will obviously make any club strong. It will bring more fans all across the world because it's the fans. It's we who's deciding what to have in our club, what kind of players we want to cheer up, what kind of players we don't want in our team. Some bad elements are always there in every team. I'm not against that.
I know. That's talking about, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good, like to have such a thing in sports, such a thing in football, such a thing in England for the first time. Let's see if there is an open arm to it. It might come from Chelsea. Let's see. They're always first to doing so.
It would have to come from the government more than the clubs, because I don't think any club is voluntarily. I mean, Chelsea could change up their ownership model, but that's just one club. I don't think a club like I don't know if City would want to do it, but I'm sure a club like let's say Everton or even that, they probably wouldn't want to do it right now. So it would have to come from government regulations as to how they would do that and how they would divest that. As a fan ownership model, having a majority, and nobody's saying give it 100% fan ownership, but maybe the 50+1 rule that exists in Germany could be brought in. I feel that would be a good idea. But what I would like to see, Knayha, is I wouldn't like it to be limited to just fans who go to the games or fans who live in in the area. I think if clubs are going to have diverse fan bases across the globe, then I think that needs to be represented in their ownership model as well. How that would look, I don't know. They'll have to probably come up with some model. But again, having people like us, even though we don't live in the UK, but we still follow our clubs, having our representation as well would probably be a good idea. And that's just my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that's kind of the deeper part of the discussion that I don't see anybody even talking about it. Like not even. But that's not even
trailblazers, man. We're trailblazers here. That's
no, but I'm just like in lecture. Okay, you want to put an example to how you deal with sanctions with and kind of targeting of Roman Abramovich with Chelsea, and then he happens to be owning Chelsea Football Club, and so this you want to put up a case, you want to set an example to like dictators and their friends and family and stuff. Well done, you've done that, but then this allows you to further discuss deeper and talk about actual business, like govern, like how do you govern them, like what should be a model, so that like the Derby County does not have the same, like we have a look at what's happening. We have a Derby County who's like struggling to just get players or something, like get an 11, and then we have a Chelsea Football Club which is being sanctioned and now being sold for like and so that I'm just trying to give you the vast it's not really amazing throughout that the Premier League as well, and also the governorship model, like how the body that they were working on, the way the model needs to be, what does ownership mean, how much, like, because the dependency of having one owner, this is what it leads to as well. Like if Roman Abramovich was not the sole owner of Chelsea Football Club, and if there were some sets which said, okay, 50% is owned by this guy, or that's the maximum he can own, then you kind of break it up, the remaining 50, it still has an owner. Like this is a very big, and this kind of opens up that debate, which I think should be had by all football clubs right now, and be like, where do we stand with this? Like, if tomorrow, because this has a ripple effect. It's not simple. Okay, change of ownership. You can replace the guy and done. And this has been a joke also in the Premier League with so much ownership, like so many, like with Newcastle. That was a joke as well. It's like, tomorrow somebody could turn up and Newcastle could just simply say, I need to buy 2 clubs. I can buy 2 clubs. I can put something up, and the ownership model could be something. I could figure it out. Like, they could figure out with lawyers and stuff. City owning like multiple clubs as well across different leagues. They have a policy where they can transfer players. Like, they don't even speak to each other. They just need to get somebody on a flight, and somebody from US can land in in Europe and kind of play in any place. So I think what I'm trying to get at is, like, this is the right moment to kind of discuss this. This has opened up a big conversation. This should open up a big conversation on ownership models and representation, and actually having a wide, diverse space of representation, and not kind of concise to clubs with family ownerships, or businesses having their ownerships. It should be much more the fans, the supporters across the globe, because eventually we love football. We're not like, this is trivial topics, right? We want to enjoy our football, watching it, playing it, talking about it, but then this still does not represent us in a way, as you've mentioned. So I think this is the time for change.
Yeah, Siddhant, just going back to the point, ultimately it's the club that suffers, right? It's not Roman's going to sell and he's going to make his billions. I mean, I know he wrote off the loans, but to be fair, I don't think he's trying to sell it for 2 to 4 billion pounds. So he's still going to make a fancy profit on it at the end of the day, even if he's written off the loans. But the reality of it all is that it's the fans that suffer. It's a club that suffers at the end. Whatever happens to the club, luckily the club will probably not go under. In extreme cases, that could happen as well. And maybe there needs to be more regulation around these kind of things. That's, again, just my opinion. I know people hate the word regulation because they don't want government's interference, but that's something that may need to be done.
Yeah, definitely. Just to correct you there, Roman has mentioned that whatever profit he's going to make, that is not going to come to him. That is going to go to the charitable foundation.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I always hear that word. You know what? I work in nonprofits. I have a lot of respect for charities, but I always worry when people say I'm going to give it to a charitable foundation without giving any specifics. So I will wait on that. But it's a good move again from Roman. Yes, thank you for that. Yes, he's going to give it to charity, and that's good. But I mean, somebody else may look at it differently. But anyway, but that's a good point. Thank you, Stan, for correcting me.
And while we are talking about ownership by fans, it could work. It sometimes may not work. Maybe the decision process doesn't work. We can always discuss pros and cons of that. I am neither for this, for that, but football and the clubs should be for fans. That is the most important thing. And fans should definitely have a say, and there should definitely be regulation. I mean, as I said before, regulation will help everyone. I mean, it's not just the fans. It will help even any prospective owner. It gives him a shield that I have been chosen after regulation, so later on it's difficult to attack him.
We'll close this discussion. Adarsh, final points from you, and again, this is something that I always thought about. Is a club a company, or should it be something that is Roman actually came with a good word, custodians. Are club owners of a company, or are they custodians of something that's a community organization? I always feel it should be this. They should be custodians of a community. The club is for the community. It's not something that should be used to mint money. I know modern football doesn't look at it that way, and we've kind of come a long way because of that. Players make a lot of money. They have source of employment and all of that. But I mean, is there a balance? Is there a balance there that we had of trying to find of just having it be a business that is there, that exists to make money, and between something that exists for a community?
I mean, if you ask me from a fan point of view, I would totally be against it. Like, it has to be a different way, not just be owner, just milk money from it. But right now, how the situations are, not just in Europe, but across the world, it's just money, believe me. They just, whosoever would be the owner is just here for money. Roman started the Chelsea thing for money. He wasn't sure that he's going to win all the trophies available. He wasn't sure that he'll stay for this long. But things went well. He stayed, and even now he wanted to leave until certain circumstances, for sure. But for every owner, I believe it's fine as well, because how things are changing in this modern football. Because players are being bought now in a very unidimensional amount. They ask for very dynamic wages. See
Yeah.
Mbappe, what kind of wages there are rumors around there for
Yeah.
PSG. They're offering him
Sure.
so much.
Mhm.
So if you are not going to think from a business point of view, the club won't survive in
Yeah.
this modern world. You won't be able to get high class players. You won't be able to afford Paul Pogba. You know, so
Well,
uh,
I agree.
Wow.
No, I get your point. I get your point. No, no,
so
but you know what? Yeah,
it has to be done in a
yeah.
business point of view, I would say.
And
Okay, you're right.
just to add to that if
Hmm.
it has to be for fans and community, maybe there should be a crowd fundraising going on all the time,
Yeah,
if the fans really want that to happen.
if fans really want to sign a player, raise the fund, give it to the owner, he'll buy it for you. Nobody has a problem in that.
No,
Because
I mean, at the end of the day, though, to be honest, owners don't always put their own money into the clubs, right? I mean, Roman, the UAE owners, the city owners, they are exceptions in some ways. They don't always. I mean, Perez doesn't put his own money into it. They make money for the club and they use that. So the clubs don't always do that. Owners don't always do that. That's where I think Roman and Roman changed the game. He was, I think, one of the few owners that actually sustained. I mean, other owners have done it in the past, but then eventually they had to pull their money out, and then the clubs went back.
Yeah.
But Roman did that. He changed that in the way that he came in. He put in money and he said, "Yeah, this is the money. Go use it. Take it, my children. Take it. Whatever you need. You need 50 million pounds for Robin. There you go. Take it. That's 100 million for Lukaku. Why not? There we go. So I think that he changed the game that way, right? He changed the game that way. But I mean, in general, I think clubs. But and it's a good point as well, because the kind of wages that the players demand, you can't really have a fan ownership model where fans decide how the finances work and all of that. The clubs will lose out on revenue from that regard. Yes, definitely. So there is a balance there to be had. And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, in the past, players weren't playing for a lot. Now they do make, they started making living wages. Now they make luxury wages. And I don't think players are going to be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll take a pay cut, no problem. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. That's unfortunately not going to happen. So that
I'm
kind
going
of
to play for this club so bad. I'm going to take a big, huge paycheck.
Actually,
cut on my paycheck.
Yeah.
Very less players are there.
Actually, it's getting worse. Players are not ready to extend their contracts because they want the signing bonus. They don't want the club to make the money. They want to make the.
Yeah, and what that is also doing is actually, even now, we were saying clubs are not representative of the communities that that the fans are in. Players are not representative of that as well. We don't relate to the players anymore. Like, how do you relate to an Mbappe or Pogba or somebody else or I don't know who else. I don't want to just name two players of color, but or even a Haaland for that matter. We don't relate to these players because the wages that they demand and the lifestyles that they live are so beyond what we can imagine. So there is that disconnect between football and want the fans to follow it, and maybe that is something that could be reconciled. But I think that's a broader conversation which should be had after the European Super League, but it didn't. And I think I have a feeling that there's no appetite for that at the moment. So we'll have to wait and watch what the government decides to do. But it is something that I hope that will happen in conversation, that or at least there's some fail-safe mechanisms for when these kind of things happen, so that the clubs are not and the fans are not the ones that suffer. But and then it is an end of an era for Chelsea fans, or it will be soon once Roman leaves. All I can say is, if Chelsea, if Roman is asking £2 to £4 billion for Chelsea, places are going to be like, we're going to get 10 billion. And we always thought, 2 billion, 10 billion. And what would United be worth? Probably 10 billion, 12 billion. What would Real be worth? Probably 20. And City probably be easily 6 or 7 or 8, at least 8 billion. Probably might even cost 10 at some point. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible the valuations that happen.
United is a publicly traded company, right?
It is, yeah. And there's a publicly traded company, but most of the shares are owned by the Glazers. The ones that are public are don't really have a lot of power. They are just shares that are given like for people to own. I mean, you don't get a lot of voting power basically with those shares. If you buy, unless you buy like a bunch of them, you probably get some voting power, but the majority of the power shares are all with the Glazers. So they basically decide what the valuation would be. But it's a very high valuation. I always thought that United would need like a billionaire, but I think they probably need like a Jeff Bezos, or maybe somebody's got to tell Elon Musk, put a challenge to Elon Musk on Twitter, buy United if you dare. And then maybe he'll do it because he does that.
We are now hearing billionaires or kind of sports people coming in, like Conor McGregor. I think I was just going to
that.
Who's going to be the next owner of Chelsea?
I'm open to explore Chelsea.
Yeah, who's going to be the next owner of Chelsea?
I'm like, this is going to be, if that happens, even if that, oh no.
Well, Ryan Reynolds now owns a football club in England, right? I mean, it's one of the lower division football clubs, but he owns a football club.
Come on, David Beckham owns a club now.
I'm sorry? David
Beckham owns a club.
Yeah, but he owns 10% of Salford, not he owns Inter Miami, which is like in MLS.
He got it for free. I think that's the deal that he signed when he went to MLS.
He got the franchise, but then he put another money Inter Miami. But the one that he owns, Salford City, owns 10% of it. So
Yeah.
it's not full.
Along with I think Scholes and
Scholes, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Nicky Butt.
the 93 club. I think the group of
Class of
93.
92.
I think.
And Van
Yeah,
Gaal.
School of Night.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, celebrity ownership. That might be the next thing. We've had celebrity presidents. We've had celebrity shows, and we'll have celebrity owners. That's the next step in the evolution of football, perhaps. We don't know where we go next, but who will be the next owner of Chelsea? I don't know. All I can say for Chelsea fans is pray and hope that it's not an American billionaire, because all they do is they Americans ruin everything. I'm just kidding.
But Liverpool owners are fine.
They did try to trademark Liverpool, right? They did try to trademark that. They tried to trademark video game stuff. So yeah, they're not exactly.
They're still trying to do that. They've just not been successful. I'm very sure that's still kind of.
No, I think they tried to trademark. I know something like, was it "You Never Walk Alone"? I know something like that.
Yeah, right? You Never Walk Alone. Why? The Y and the blue. That one, and the LFC. Yeah, that one wanted to put the trademark on. So everything, which is kind of
Yeah, they want to trademark everything. That's just Liverpool. They're lucky they've flopped right now. Liverpool are lucky they've flopped right now. That's all I can say. Anyway, thank you so much, Adarsh. Thank you so much, Knayha. Thank you so much, Siddhant, for joining the show today. It's so amazing to have you guys. And I think we had a good, deep discussion on certain topics. And it's great. Hopefully, all the best, Siddhant, for Chelsea's season. I think they'll be fine this season. I don't think we have to worry too much about that. And Adarsh, of course, we've got the big Manchester derby this weekend. So maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see you for the preview show for that one. That'll be nice.
Yeah, for sure. Preview show, I'll be there.
Yes, I know. Yeah, we'll talk about how many goals will City score, because United don't score any. But anyway,
I don't want less than 5, man.
You know what? I don't think they'll score 5. I think they'll score 2 or 3, and then they'll be like, "Thank you very much for coming, players. Now you can pass."
In the last 4 or 5 derbies, like the score has been 1 or 2. Like nobody has scored many goals. So
2-0.
Things.
Well, tell you what, they won 2-0 and they could have easily won 6-0 or 7-0 in September, October.
It was not that they didn't want to score. They were like, they're not going to. That's fine. It's good enough.
We've got 3. We've got 3, and we can now enjoy. Let's rest. Let's take some rest. We've got a Champions League game coming up, or whatever we've got.
Let's stick to tiki-taka for now.
Anyway,
let's tease United.
We'll talk about that in the previous show. But anyway, thank you, Knayha, as well, for joining me. If you did enjoy the show, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We just crossed 500 likes on Facebook, so yay to everyone who did like us. And yes, please keep supporting us. It'd be great. And of course, we're also trying to get to 150 subscribers on YouTube. So again, please help us reach those milestones. We'll see you again very soon with another episode. But for now, take care. Bye-bye.